This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you just finished watching the same game that I did. The New York Knicks lose to the Brooklyn Nets 110-107. It was a good basketball game. The Knicks got down 9-0 to start the game, and they battled back to take a lead. They gave up that lead at the end of the second quarter, and they could never get back on top. They battled the Brooklyn Nets, ladies and gentlemen, but, they could. Late game execution, once again, you can boil it down to that. Late game execution. They did take a lead in the third quarter, a small lead, but they couldn't hold on to it. Too much Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant dropped 50 points against the Knicks. Hey, it took Kevin Durant to drop 50 points to pull this game out against the Knicks, but the Knicks didn't have enough execution down the stretch of the game, ladies and gentlemen. Did not have enough execution come down the stretch of the game. Made it a tough one. You look at the box score from the New York Knicks. They were led by Julius Randle. He had 26 points. Only 4 rebounds from Julius Randle in this game. And only 4 assists from Julius Randle. I don't want to say only, but 4 assists from Julius Randle. Shot okay from the field, 52.9% from the field. He shot 42.9% from the three-point line, and he was 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Evan Fournier played a good game. 25 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists for Evan Fournier. He shot 69% from the field and 62.5% from the three-point line. For the most part, played a good game. Both guys, all 3 guys, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, and R.J. Barrett, made some mistakes in the late game execution. Late game, and we'll talk about 3 major plays by all 3 players that affected the game. Other than those 3 guys, no other New York Knick was in double digits. Mitchell Robinson had another one of his games against Andre Drummond. Right, Andre Drummond, he had 18 points and 10 rebounds. Mitchell Robinson had 7 points and 5 rebounds. We talked about this before the game even started. How Mitchell Robinson matches up against Andre Drummond. And crazy me and Ron, we said Andre Drummond is on a downslide while Mitchell Robinson is on an upslide. And this is what happens today. In the first half of the game, Andre Drummond dominated Mitchell Robinson. For the rest of the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, Alec Burks, 5 points. Emmanuel Quickly, 6 points. Jericho Sims played some good minutes, some big minutes down the stretch, 6 points, 10 rebounds. Obi Toppin had 8 points. For the Brooklyn Nets, that man, KD, 50 points for the Brooklyn Nets, 53 points for the Brooklyn Nets, 53 points, 9 assists, and 2 steals for Kevin Durant. Bruce Brown had 15 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. Andre Drummond, as I said, 18 points and 10 rebounds. Nick Claxton had 10 points. Goran Dragic, 7 points, 6 assists. Patty Mills, 5 points, 4 assists. Tough game, man. Tough game for the Knicks. Andy, what's popping with you, man? I want to talk about 3 plays, right, that really hurt the Knicks down the stretch. Number 1, the game was tied, I believe, at 103. Julius Randle gets the basketball. He has Goran Dragic on him, right? 3 guys queuing in, eyes all beaming towards Julius Randle. And instead of giving the ball up and swinging it, he tries to go to the basket or do whatever he's going to do. The ball gets knocked out. Turnover. Comes down. Kevin Durant knocks down a 3. 106-103. The Knicks go down 3 points. Yes, Julius Randle comes back, gets a dunk at the basket to make it 106-105. But that play was huge, right? That hurt us. Your thoughts on that play?
Oh, yes. And first of all, salute. Happy to be on with you for the watch along.
Yes.
To all subscribers, listen, guys, just watch it once with us. You're going to be happy. You're going to be coming back. So
Yeah.
that's much more entertaining. Watch with, with fans on and stuff like that. Yes. And it's basically, like you said, taking to notice that KD had a really good game. It was only the shot that we had to stop. Basically, if we stopped that, the momentum could have been in the Knicks' hands, and maybe they wouldn't have that power to throw another punch at us. But yeah, that was one of the crucial positions of the game.
Yeah, that was just crucial, and this is where we talk about it all the time, but this is where not having that point guard comes in. Julius Randle's got to know. Let me get the ball out of my hands. It's stuck right now. It's not moving. Let me move it to somebody else. See if we can get the ball, floating around that perimeter, and then, if it comes back to me, cool. If it doesn't come back to me, we get a shot off someplace else. The game is tied. That kind of a turnover led to an easy transition 3 from Kevin Durant. And he's hot all game long. The last thing you want to give him is an easy shot. You know what I mean? I mean, every shot's just about easy for Kevin Durant anyway. But the last thing you want to give him is an easy shot. And he knocks down the 3. That was a critical moment in the game. Another moment, and we talked about this while we were doing the watch along. In the final, I don't know, what was it? 7 seconds, 6 seconds, whatever it was. RJ's on the way up the floor. James Johnson is next to him, looking to foul him. And RJ, he gets the foul, but he had a chance to pull up at the moment that James Johnson was fouling him to see if he could get to the line for 3. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe even get a 4-point play. And, I'm not mad at RJ, and I'm not blaming RJ. Obviously, if Julius Randle didn't turn the ball over, the Knicks maybe aren't down 3 points aren't down. Who knows what the chain of events would have been. Just at that moment, and hopefully they can look at the videotape and he can see, man, I had the opportunity to possibly draw a foul on him. Maybe he had him in a position where he might have been able to stop, throw a pump fake, and then get in the air to shoot the 3 and, get fouled and have a chance for a 4-point play. The opportunity was there. He missed the opportunity. He did get fouled, and go to the line. But, the opportunity was there. Go ahead, Andy.
Yes, and you ain't mad at RJ, but I am. Listen, that was a pure blunder on his part. We were down 3, and there was no point of us being in down the 3-point line. Even if they're gonna foul, you're gonna have 2 points, right? And RJ was running up the court, like you said. He pumped the brakes around the 3-point line. It was looking like he might pull up, and then he made 2 steps further, and he's in 2 point territory, and Johnson was like, I don't even have to foul this dude. But then again, the game plan probably was just to foul him, so he pulled up the foul. The next situation is RJ makes 1 free throw, and he makes the other one, which he tries to miss, but he makes it. And that was probably no game, because they had 3 seconds. If the Knicks fouled them, they had around 2 seconds, and in the game scenario it was 1.8. So if they make or not make the free throws, we have 1.8 second to bring the ball full length of the court and take that 3 shot.
Yeah.
And we saw how did happen. RG passed the ball basically around the free throw line, which I don't know how Julius was supposed to create a 3-point play out of that.
Right. Listen. So B-Baller for real. I want to answer a couple people in the chat. B-Baller for real said, if he pulls up and they don't blow the whistle and he misses by a mile, then what? Nobody wants to look at that, huh? Johnson is smart enough not to foul on the 3. Listen, I think everybody would have understood the situation that the Knicks were in, right? There's 6 seconds left. You got to try to get a shot off. You know what I mean? I think if he would have came down, I mean, James Johnson was on his hip. You know what I mean? Even if he didn't throw a pump fake, he had every opportunity to pull up the three before he even got fouled. And he didn't. You know what I'm saying? If he would have pulled up the three and it would have been a clunker, it would have just been a clunker.
Yeah.
I think
we would have the opportunity to get a rebound, or more time on the clock to foul him. So it's like,
it's a learning experience for RJ. To understand that he was. If you go back and look, he was in pretty good position to pull up a three before he even got fouled. Even if he doesn't try to get fouled. I was just saying, you throw that pump fake, you might get him in the air. But even if he just pulls it up, he had good position to pull up a three, and. He didn't. He, ended up accepting the foul. Then, when he does go to the line, somebody said that he was trying to pad his stats. He wasn't trying to pad his stats, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, Greg said then he decides to make both free throws so he can pad his stats when he was supposed to miss the second free throw because we had no more timeouts. He tried to miss the second free throw and he made it. If you see what he said, as he was walking back to the bench, he said, "I tried to miss that. I ain't, I'm not gonna, might be some kids watching or whatever. I might have some players watching. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But he tried to miss it and he made it. I mean, I know Andy's mad at him. I'm not mad because I'm hoping that he's gonna learn from it. You know what I'm saying? And make some better decisions. Coming down the street. I mean, it's a decision that you got to make like in the heat of the moment. I mean, it's tough, and it takes experience for you to make those type of decisions. So I'm not mad at him. I'm more upset with Julius Randle on the turnover a couple plays before than I am on that play there. You know what I'm saying? Because that turnover led to a critical 3-point basket that gave the Nets the lead for good. And B-Ball for real said, we're nitpicking on a 4-point play attempt. No, I'm not nitpicking on a 4-point play attempt. I don't care about the 4-point play. I care about the shot. He could have got the shot up and had a chance for a 4-point play because you knew that James Johnson was going to try to foul so that he would take 2 free throws. I don't care if he got the 4-point play or not. He had a chance to get a 3-point shot up. Even if
we were down 3. We were down 3. We weren't looking for the 4-point play. We were looking to get up on the scoreboard by 3 points. So we had, even. So we can go to overtime.
Right. It's not about a 4-point play. We're saying that there's a possibility that happened. It's about the 3. And he had every opportunity. I mean, he was going. All he had to do was stop short. And James Johnson's energy is going to take him at least a half a step ahead to give RJ a chance at an open 3. That's my point. He had a chance to pull a 3. It's not about the 4-point play. Not nitpicking that. What I'm saying is he had a chance to pull a 3. You know what I mean? And then you get down to the call to the, not the last play of the game, but the last play of the game for the Knicks. And I thought it was a terrible call coming out of a timeout. Bad call coming out of a timeout. First of all, Mitchell Robinson hadn't been in the game for a while. Did he play in the fourth quarter before that play?
Nope.
He didn't play in the fourth quarter before that play. For that play, like we were saying in the watch along, why not just keep Jericho Sims in? He can do the same exact thing that Mitch was going to try to do. Right? And the reason why we said it was a terrible play is because you're passing the ball to the corner. That's a prime spot to get trapped. And there's almost no way out of the corner. The only way out is to throw, you may have someone on the wing that is one pass away, but every other person is a cross-court pass, right? Every other spot you're passing to is, for the most part, a cross-court pass, unless that play that they tried is successful. But it wasn't. tough play to execute, I think, in that situation, man.
And Sim, you can pass to the corner if you see that the guy is going to be that long open so he can set up and take that shot.
Yeah. But I just didn't think that was a good play coming out of a timeout. I don't mind going to Fournier. I just don't think that's where you go to him. In that situation, I think it was a tough play to execute in that situation. You know what I mean? I think that was a bad play. That's a prime spot to get trapped. You see, he had to try to pass the ball over 3 defenders. And then even if he did get it over those defenders, Kevin Durant was going to get the steal anyway. Right? I mean, he spied it, and he was, while the ball was lobbed up to Mitch, Kevin Durant was on his way down to get that steal anyway. I thought that was a bad play coming out of the timeout. Andy, you want to comment on that at all?
Yeah, I think, we said everything. I don't think you can blame Fournier. I don't think you can blame Mitch or Sims. Sims was not on the court even, but, it doesn't matter if it would be Sims or Mitch. Unless Fournier got wide open, then you pass the ball. Then you just set up your player for failure with that kind of a pass. So,
yeah, B-Baller for real said, right, so Sims or Mitch matters none if that pass can't happen and we know it. True, but I'm just saying, if Mitch hasn't played the entire fourth quarter, why are you bringing him in for an offensive play when Sims can do the exact same thing? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And Sims was playing well in the fourth quarter, mostly defensively, obviously, right? But Jericho Sims had 6 points. He played 23 minutes. He had 6 points. Mitchell Robinson played 22 minutes. He had 7 points. Okay, he did catch an alley-oop today, right? But it was from a totally different spot on the floor that alley-oop was, executed. Totally different spot on the floor. It's not like we had ran that play several times and it worked, right? What I'm saying is you bring a cold Mitch off the bench. He hadn't played in the fourth quarter, so he'd been sitting for a while, right? And, you might as well, to me, it's not about whether or not, yes, it was a bad pass, a bad play, so it probably wasn't going to be executed. But in this instance, it's not about whether or not that play was going to be executed. It's about bringing in a cold player with 13 seconds left in the game or 6 seconds, however many seconds left in the game, and expecting him to execute. That's what it's about. We've seen him do it with Frank Ntilikina in the Hawks series. That's what that's about to me. I don't like that. Obviously, you do it sometimes with three-point specialists and things like that. I get it. But at this point, Sims does the same exact thing. Mitchell Robinson played 13 seconds in the fourth quarter. Jericho Sims played 11 minutes and 47 seconds. That's what I'm saying. And he had been playing well. As far as rebounding the ball, Mitch had 5 rebounds on the night. Jericho Sims had 10. So if you get a shot up and you need to get a rebound, Jericho Sims was actually doing a better job on the boards than Mitchell Robinson.
Yes, and just to add, I think we had Sims on the court because, while doubling KD and trying to get the ball out of his hands, I think Sims worked way more. He was faster on the feet than Mitch, right? So I think that was the case with Sims being on the court.
Oh, say that again, Andy. I missed it.
I was saying that probably the situation why we had Jericho Sims instead of Mitch in the fourth quarter is that he probably did the help defense way better than Mitch would be doing. Getting the ball out of KD's hands on top of just while they passed the half court. Yeah. So I'm thinking that's why they wanted Sims on the court instead of Mitch.
Right? Tough. It was a good game, entertaining basketball game. That's for sure. A very entertaining game. I would have loved the Knicks to come up with this win. Too much Kevin Durant, man. 53 points by Kevin Durant today. and the Nets needed every single one of those 53 points. Every single one of them they needed. Listen, the Nets came out to they came out hot. Took a 9-point lead, 9-0. The Knicks managed to battle back. They lose it going into the third quarter, or going into halftime. Third quarter, they managed to get a lead, or fourth quarter, whatever, they managed to get a lead again, but they couldn't hold it. Late game execution. We just talked about 3 plays late in the game that signify, the Knicks in their late game execution troubles. You know what I mean? I keep saying, and other people keep saying, point guard, you need that guard, you need that guard. When you look at tonight, Andy, does that point guard change the late game execution? And I'm not even talking about changing whether or not they win. I'm just talking about changing the late game execution.
Yes, and for me, I would love to have, a better point guard and a better ball handler itself than a guy like Alec Burks, than a guy like Emmanuel Quickly, and stuff like that. Only thing I'm afraid of is that we see more ball handling from RJ. We saw it last season with Julius. So if Thibs, doesn't urge the management for him to getting a point guard for him, because he's going to say that I can easily run my offense through those guys. Listen, we might be in the same situation that we're currently, with the offense flowing through, not a point guard, just whoever's the best player on the court, basically. And, that has short legs. One season they work, but this season, like we see, nothing funny.
Right. And it's not even about, can those guys handle the ball? I mean, you can get a lot of people that can bring the ball up the floor, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's about the decisions that are being made.
Like the floor general, right? He's gonna be able to, try to make the decision on the court without taking a timeout, without just saving Julius Randle from being Julius Randle.
Right. Because
that's the case.
With Randle, for a minute, he can be on the floor and make good decisions for a while. But those, we talk about it all the time, diminishing returns. You're going to start to get diminishing returns with Julius Randle, as far in that aspect, right? Handling the basketball. You're going to start, in 2 aspects. If he's on the floor for more than 7 to 8 minutes, I think you start to get diminishing returns from Julius Randle, right? Because he's a little tired. If he's handling the ball and making all the decisions on the floor, you start to get diminishing returns from Julius Randle, and the facilitating aspect of it. So I think, like with Randle, I think you got to limit him to 7 to 8 minute stretches. And if Obi is really, playing well, or whoever's coming off the bench for him in that 4th spot is playing well, then you let it be, you let that guy stay out there a little bit longer. And then the facilitating, I think you limit that to certain stretches.
Yeah, Yeah, not you didn't add still the emotional factor with Randle. I think, when he tries to take it personal on someone, or a small defender, or something like that, he's gonna try to post him up to a fault. Listen, he knows that the double team is gonna come, but he's like, I got a small man on me. I gotta take him. And he's gonna dribble. Try to basically dribble to the hoop, right, with his back to the back, and then just make a crazy move or a fadeaway shot or stuff like that. So, and a point, a floor general would say, listen, I'm going to give you the ball this time. But, if he's not going to make it, he's just going to swing the ball on the other side of the court, and he's not going to care about it. Meanwhile, in this situation, Quickly just dribbles, and then he passes up the ball so Julius can dribble the next 7 seconds, and then the shot clock, runs out. So that's why, this ain't going to work without a really good point guard that, they're going to respect. So,
yeah. and it's going to be it's going to be hard to find one. We'll see. I really have a feeling it's either going to be Jalen Brunson or Malcolm Brogdon. I feel like it's going to be one of those two guys. We'll see how that works out in the offseason. It's hard to say. I don't know. Looking at the numbers behind the game, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the Knicks lose 110-107 to the Brooklyn Nets behind 53 points from Kevin Durant. The Knicks win the rebounding battle 40-39. That's a little bit surprising to me because the only person that was really rebounding the ball was Jericho Sims. I guess you could say it was team rebounding, but Julius Randle only had 4 rebounds tonight or today. Mitchell Robinson 5. But Alec Burks did have 6 rebounds. Emmanuel Quickley had 7 rebounds. Okay, so I guess that's where they, won that rebounding battle. And then you had Andre Drummond. Well, Andre Drummond only had 10 rebounds. He dominated in that first half. And it was surprising that he sat out for so long in the third and fourth quarters. Maybe it was the way that the Knicks were playing when they started to trap Kevin Durant. And I want to talk about that a little bit because that really did work for the Knicks come down the stretch. The way that they were sending that trap at Kevin Durant. The Knicks, 27 assists today. The Brooklyn Nets, 30. 9 of them by Kevin Durant. And for the New York Knicks, they were led in assists by Alec Burks, actually, had 7 assists. And then Evan Fournier had 5. Julius Randle had 4. Emmanuel Quickley also had 4 assists. For the Nets, they were led by Kevin Durant in assists. He had 9 assists on the night. And then Bruce Brown had 5. Goran Dragic had 6. Goran Dragic, he's a good pickup for the Nets out of that buyout market. You know what I mean? Because he's fresh. He hadn't played for most of the season. He's fresh. And, he's going to be able to provide some valuable minutes, especially when they get into the playoffs and Kyrie Irving's not able to play at home. He's going to provide some really valuable minutes for the Nets. 8 steals for the Knicks, 11 for the Nets, 5 blocks for the Knicks, 3 for the Nets. The Knicks, again, high on the turnovers, man. 16 turnovers for the Knicks, 13 for the Nets. A big turnover at the end of the game by Julius Randle, which led to a KD 3 that gave the Nets the lead for good. The Knicks shot 47% from the field, the Nets 49%. The Knicks 38% from the three-point line, the Nets 20.7%. The Knicks actually shot 85.7% from the free throw line. The Nets were 72%. The teams were pretty much even. Points in the paint. Brooklyn had 52. The Knicks 50. Second chance points. The Nets 18. The Knicks 13. Fast break points. The Knicks won that 16-11. Nothing really stands out to you to say. They play pretty even. It's really Kevin Durant, and it was Kevin Durant in those 53 points. Anytime they needed a big shot, he was coming up with a big shot. Forced them to double team, but when they double teamed, guys weren't able to, really pick up the slack. You know what I mean? The Nets had some trouble with that. Andy, do you think it's just because of the group that the Nets had out there on the floor where, they couldn't double team, right? Because those guys weren't converting. They were, almost they were starting to turn the ball over, this and that. Or do you think the Knicks can do that to other teams as well?
Wilson, I think that the Knicks can at least try to do it to other teams. We saw players maybe not that big, have big games like KD versus us today, but we saw guys being on a roll. And I don't think Tibbs did everything that he could just to stop a player like a KD, like a Giannis, like several other players that we had a chance to play versus this season. And listen, this is one of the things that you can do. There's plenty of more tactics that you can use, but looking at the roster that the Nets had out there, they had basically 4 let's call, not scoring guys out. So out there on with KD, right? So whenever he passed the ball, they didn't make a shot because they had James Johnson, they had Andre Drummond, they had Bruce Brown, they had guys that basically aren't known for scoring, right?
Right.
Listen, knowing the Knicks luck, I could see a James Johnson 3 as a dagger, but at least this game it didn't happen. But yeah, like you said, for this time it worked. You have to. For me, it's more important who's the guy that's doubling, right? Because this game it was Sims. Because Drummond was under the hoop and Randall was standing there the whole game, so that's why he basically covered two guys. But at least he didn't beat us in the late of the game, right?
Right. I thought that the Knicks did a good job of playing those passing lanes, right? When they sent Jericho Sims out to double on Kevin Durant, I thought they did a really good job of playing those passing lanes. And then Jericho Sims did a really good job once Kevin Durant passed out of that trap, the high trap. He did a really good job getting back into the play of the game and figuring out who he had to cover.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And where the rotation was. So I think one time Andre Drummond scored in the paint off of the double team, but almost every other time the Knicks were able to execute that double team and then get back in the defense. You know what I mean? I would like to see him use it more often though. Against teams like Memphis, where, Ja Morant wasn't like super duper hot. He did drop 30-something points, but it was on 30-something, shot attempts, right? 33 shot attempts. So I didn't think that, but he was also able to get into the paint. Right? He was able to get into the paint, kick it up, shooters and things like that. I would like to see them use it a little bit more, in different areas. I'm going to get to a couple of super chats. But let me get to a phone call first, and then we'll get to them. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please. Yo.
Hey, Sam.
Hey, what's going on with you?
This is Oliver. I've called in the show a couple of times. I live in the Boston area. What's up, Sam? What's up, Andy?
I'm doing good. How you feeling? How you feeling, Oliver?
After this game, a little disappointed. I liked how you guys covered those three, significant plays that really cost the game, if you will. The Fournier tip ball, the Randall turnover, and the RJ play at the end. And the one I wanted to bring back up is that RJ play at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't understand. I couldn't understand watching it why RJ didn't seem more urgent to get that shot off. Like it was he got fouled. I think it was 2.5 seconds left, and he didn't even look like he was trying to shoot.
Right.
You're down by 3 there. It doesn't help to get fouled. On it to shoot 2 free throws there. I just don't understand why I didn't see an urgency to shoot that 3.
Yeah, you know what? The only thing that I could think of is just, when you're out there in the midst of a basketball game, sometimes you have a brain fart, man.
Right.
Sometimes it happens that way.
I know, but like you guys said, those are killers. Like that can make the difference between winning and losing right there.
Yeah, without a doubt, it can. It makes a big difference between winning and losing, And the hope is that, he's able to see it and recognize, like, man, he had to have known the scoring time, right?
You would think, and that they had no timeouts either.
Yeah.
So they couldn't even advance the ball. Like, it may have made sense if they had a timeout, like, okay, you make your 2 free throws. Even if you foul Brooklyn, they make their 2, then you're in the same position again, down by 3, and you can advance the ball. But they didn't even have a timeout.
Right. And that's where you hope that just as a young player, he's able to look at it and say, okay, I got to know time. I got to know possession. And I got to understand what they may be looking to do, that they may look to foul me. So just like before even going out there on the floor, understanding those things. You know what I mean? Because It looked as though it was set up for him to get the basketball. Julius Randle had the ball out under the basket. RJ came one way and then went back the other way. Randle got him the ball. So it looked like, okay, they were going to RJ to try to get the ball up the floor and get a 3 off. You know what I mean? And you just got to be prepared for that situation and what might happen But, that's what happens with a young guy, man.
Exactly.
That's what happens with a young guy. You got to learn from it. And I think he'll learn from it and get better from it. I'm pretty sure he will, 100%.
Yeah. It's hard to get too mad at him, too. He's been so good.
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
Past, few weeks or whatever it's been. So good. But, yeah, the Randall play was a killer, too, like how you turning it over there. And then same with the Fournier play.
Yeah.
He had him under the basket, too. It looks like he had Mitch if he could have got the ball to him. But
yeah, I think, while Fournier didn't get that pass off, I feel like it's more on Tom Thibodeau with that play than Fournier. I just don't think that was a good play because, that's a prime spot to get trapped in that corner. And, it's a bad place to have to pass the ball out of.
Yeah.
Tough place to have to pass the ball out of because as soon as that ball, they're smart, right? In the NBA. As soon as they see the ball is in the corner, they're leaving their man and coming and trapping. And then on the trap, they're not just staying low. They're jumping high because they know you've got to throw it over top of them to get the ball out.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. And Bruce Brown, it seems like Bruce Brown makes those plays. Like whenever I watch a Nets game, Bruce Brown makes those plays. They don't always show up on the stat sheet, but he makes those plays. They're just killer plays.
Yeah.
They're so clutch.
Yeah. No doubt. But hey, Oliver, I appreciate your time and patience. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. No problem.
All
Thanks,
right.
guys.
Have a good one. Let me get to a couple of super chats. We'll get to some more phone calls in a second. I got Spree calling in. Spree, I'll get to you in 1 second, Spree. Let me get to a couple of super chats here. All right. Of course, you got, Brooklyn Knights, Lenny Joseph, Brooklyn, we run the city, blase, blase, blah, and had the nerve to call us little brothers. Hey, it's all love, though, my man. It's all love. You guys are barely running Brooklyn for real, but, you barely got fans in Brooklyn. But it's all good. We'll take it. We'll take it. He got an L for his name. We got to take the L. Nothing we can say about it. Nothing we can say or do about it, man. We just got to take it. Take it on the chin. Your time is coming. BJ Boogie says, salute. How do you feel about Colin Sexton? I'm gonna tell you what. Over the summer, I wanted the Knicks to get Colin Sexton based on what his contract was and having a guy that can score from that point guard spot. My only question with Colin Sexton, and I think, he's coming off of an injury. I don't know what his price would be. My only question is, can he be that floor general? Now, his work ethic, the energy that he brings, the defense that he brings, all things that the Knicks need from that point guard spot. So my only question would be, can he be the guy that really, cement the decision making? You know what I'm saying? That's the one question I would have. So I'd have to think about that a little bit. Before the season, I'd have been like, let's do it. Right? But now looking at how the Knicks playing, what they actually need out there on the floor, I'd have to think about it some, because I'm not sure about, can he be that floor general for the New York Knicks? Now, will he add something from that point guard spot? Without a doubt, because he can play defense, he can get to the cup, he can be a demon offensively, and his work ethic, from everything that I've heard and read, like Tom Thibodeau would love the guy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That may mean that he never, ever comes off the floor if he loves him like that. So who knows? Spree, what's popping with you, man?
Sam, I have a couple questions for you.
All right.
Why not take the ball out of KD's hands sooner?
The only answer I have to that is if you go to it a little bit sooner, they get used to it and figure out how to break it. That's the only answer I have. And maybe it changes the game sooner, though. If you do it earlier, maybe it changes the game sooner. So that's the only answer that I have.
Okay. I would have done it the whole fourth quarter.
Okay.
And if they figure it out, they figure it out. I can't. We had a little success with it late, and you got lucky on a couple. Some of them we didn't. We got burned, but for the most part, we finally got a few stops. I would have done it even earlier. That's just me. That's second guessing, but he was killing us. I want to talk about one thing with IQ Sim look. He got all the calls last year. He got all the respect. We know he's not getting the calls with the flailing and the threes. I'm cool with him not getting those calls because at least they're consistent. My issue, though, is IQ doesn't get calls when he gets bodied by people now. When a guy bodies IQ to keep him out of the paint, they're not giving him any respect.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I mean, I guess looking around the league, guys are not getting some of those calls. Do you think there's just some overcorrection going on with that, with those guys like IQ who've been getting those calls on those floaters and the way that they get calls, duping the referees into getting them calls? Do you think there's just some overcorrection going on?
I mean, probably, but my issue is I think there's a difference between the James Harden, swoop and pull, the Euro step, and the three-point shot that IQ would just flail and throw up where side to side. But there's a difference between that and, a bigger guy than IQ, completely bodying him when IQ gets that step and deserves the right to get to the free throw line. To me, there were times today where he got absolutely bodied and he should have got to the line. And I'm not even talking about the rule changes, but I think it is overcorrection. But I'm not happy with how IQ is getting officiated. Yes, RJ, they don't call some on RJ either, but at least RJ does get to the line a lot more. IQ to me deserves a little more respect. That's all I'm saying. I was not happy. There was at least 3 times today, Sim, where he got bodied. And I'm like, come on. The turnover you mentioned with Julius that led to the KD 3, what did you have? Did Randall try to do a spin there, a step back there? Is that what went wrong?
I'm not even sure, what went, what he tried to do. I just thought he needed to get the ball out of his hands because, people were queuing in right on him. You know what I mean? And even if he executed that, whatever he was trying to execute, he was probably going to end up shooting a long jump shot and not even really getting to the basket. I thought he should have just got the ball out of his hands because guys were queuing in on him. You swing the ball, you probably get somebody late on a rotation and get an open shot. You know what I mean? I have to look at it again to see exactly what he was trying to execute.
What he was trying to do.
Yeah.
I mean, he had Dragic on him. I mean, why not? I didn't like where he caught the ball. That was kind of far out. You could have done a quick drive. You could have gotten a post to post up on Dragic. I think he got again. There was another time earlier in the game, Sim, we talked about indecisiveness. I think he got indecisive. I don't remember if it was a step back that he was trying to do, but he got indecisive earlier in the game where he made a 3-point shot.
Right.
Made one. And he was in rhythm. Then the next trip down, he was wide open, Sim. And I'm like, just shoot it. You're open. You made one right before then, and he did the whole indecisive thing where he didn't know what he was doing. But we've seen it.
And he went to the basket and missed the bunny, right? Went to the basket.
Go ahead, Sam. I'm sorry.
No, I said he was indecisive on the 3, then he went to the basket and missed a bunny.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just like, if you're in rhythm there, you made a 3, you're wide open from 3, don't hesitate. I just – The Evan play, I'm in agreement with you. It's not necessarily my issue of Evan getting the basketball. I don't like him getting the ball in the corner.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, why not have – I probably wouldn't have Evan – I wouldn't – Sam, I don't think we should go to Evan. I'm not saying there's never a time, but, probably I want – I mean, they're going to collapse on anybody, but, ideally I'd like to get Evan on the other side of the floor. RJ to take it, get that drive, or RJ to come off a screen if you want to throw it to somebody else. But like you said, Sim, they can trap easily from the corners. And you're asking Evan Fournier for the game on the line. Yes, it was open, but you're asking Evan Fournier to make a tough decision and a pass, and I can't do that to him because I've seen him all year. I can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you.
What do you think the play was? Do you think that was the play?
I think so.
Think they were definitely going to Evan?
Well, I think they would go. I think they were, hoping for a surprise play, and they were going to Mitch.
So you definitely think that was the play call? It wasn't Burks just randomly throwing you to the first guy that got open?
No, I don't think so. I think that was the play call because you see Mitch dive into the basket on that play. I think that was the play call. I'd have to look at it again to really break it down, but I do think that was the call.
So RJ got a few attempts at the rim. He didn't make them. Randall had the turnover. So we went to both of our best players. They both didn't execute and get the job done. I'm fine going to somebody else to start a play. I probably, at the end of the game, this is just me, Sim. This is how I'm wired with the refs. I probably want RJ downhill. If he misses, he misses, but maybe he gets to the line because that's the highest percentage thing that can happen. Or RJ can spray it to Evan on the weak side with Burks. I didn't love him catching the ball to start the play. I know it was open and it's really second guessing. Bad things happen whenever Burks inbounds it and things get goofy. I knew something bad was going to happen, Sim. And did you think RJ was gonna make the free throw? Like, are you shocked that he made it? Or
well, I thought he was going to try to miss it, and he did try to miss it. He just made it, but he tried to miss it.
But RJ's so good at missing free throws. Why couldn't he miss that one?
I don't. It lets you know when you're not a good free throw shooter, you make the ones you try to miss.
You make the ones you try. You make the ones you try to miss. Yeah, I mean, like when you're coaching, have you ever told one of your players to miss it and they make it? Does that happen a lot with some of these guys?
I have seen it happen a lot, a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? A lot.
Frustrating.
I've seen it happen a lot where they try to miss it and they make it. In practice, I've seen it happen a lot. I've seen it happen a whole lot.
So what do you do? Like, how do you coach that? Like, how do you coach him out of when you say miss it and you have a guy that makes it all the time? What do you do? Is there a strategy?
Actually, there's something that I do all the time to help kids work on their accuracy. Two things that I do. One thing that I do is I have them on the backboard. I have them shoot towards the top corner of the backboard, not the square, the backboard, and try to hit the top corner of the backboard, right? And just like shooting there, and it's all about accuracy. And then another game that I play is we challenge each other to say, I'll miss the way that you miss. Again, it's just working on accuracy, right? So if someone shoots the ball and it goes off the left side of the rim, then I try to shoot it and make it go off the left side of the rim.
Okay.
Right?
Well, maybe they should do that. Maybe they should do that in practice because just as much as we said, RJ, you got to work on making your free throws. He needs to work on missing his free throws at the end of the games when psychologically we're telling him to make it. Maybe he needs to practice on again just to go back to whenever because he misses the free throws. Just go back to doing what you do or hit the side of the rim, the top right. They need to work on that because that is a situation that will come up.
Yeah, and you know what? I think what happens. Guys are, really trying to pay attention to making sure that they don't get a violation. Right? So now you're focusing on trying to hit the back of the rim. Right? Because if let's say you shoot it and you hit the whole side of the backboard, now you get a violation. So you're focused on trying not to, shoot it so badly that you get a violation. And so you aim towards the back of the rim and you make it.
What about changing your form? What about doing like a throwing a dodgeball, or throwing like a volleyball, just completely doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why not just changing your form completely, like a pass or something, and not even like using the arc? I don't know. I'm so upset because it was a lot. I'm not blaming RJ for the loss.
Hey, let me respond to someone in the chat. B-Baller for real. He's on me today. B-Baller is on me today. Right? He said, we want a bad free throw shooter to work on missing as they are trying to be a good free throw shooters. Well, here's the thing, though, B-Baller for real. It's not really just about missing. It's about working on accuracy, right? So if you miss a shot and you hit it off the left side of the rim, and then now I try to hit it off the left side of the rim to match your miss, I'm working on my accuracy.
Yes.
So now, whatever I'm aiming at, I'm more
your aim
accurate.
is better.
You see what I'm saying? So if I'm aiming at making it, I could be more accurate. It's about working on the skill of being accurate. You know
If you're
what I'm saying?
good at missing
So I'm not
at
trying
the
to
same
make him
spot,
be
you're-
a bad free throw shooter. It's just about, building that accuracy. You know what I mean?
Sam, you're right. Like if you miss on purpose and you have good aim, it's like a target, a dart. But
Yeah.
the better he becomes at missing, he will become a better maker because he has better accuracy. I want him to learn how to become a really good misser from the same spot. So in these situations, just as I want him to be able to switch every time I want him to make the free throw. But to go back to just one thing, I think the Knicks are playing hard. They're not playing smart, but like this was not a terrible game. Sim is really playing well. I like Sims a lot. But they need to get the ball out of Katie's hands, and I didn't like that play. The Randall turnover killed us. I don't know what he was trying to do, and I didn't like going to Evan there. I wanted RJ downhill to get to the free throw line. But it is what it is, Sim. I got nothing. But I'm at least happy that you're saying that RJ needs to learn how to miss with better aim. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate it, Spree. Andy, so Spree touched on, talked about Emmanuel quickly getting fouls, right? And that, he doesn't feel like he, gets the respect. One thing that I've noticed over the past couple of weeks is that Julius Randle is getting more fouls, right? Called for him. He's been utilizing that whole rip through, and he's getting a lot of calls that way. He wasn't doing that earlier in the season. Somewhere along the line, someone taught it to him, I guess, and it's been working for him, right? He's been able to manufacture points by going to the line by using that rip through, or get teams in foul trouble by using that rip through. That's a part of his game that's evolving. Do you see the same thing? You see him getting more fouls, and I think even in general, he's starting to get more foul calls and go to the line.
Yes, Tim. I also notice it that Randall is getting more calls, but I really think that he puts a little bit more emphasis on it, and I'm meaning by that when he's towards looking at the hoop, right, not with his back to the hoop, he is trying to see and look at the hands of the defender. If the defender's hand is stretched out, he's looking for that, side to side swipe, because like I told you on the watch along, last couple of games, we were in the bonus really early, like 6.5 minutes to go, 5 minutes. That was basically it. That's why I was surprised in this game that there was a quarter that we were like a minute and a half or lower, and we're still were in the bonus. Just taking into account that the Knicks don't shoot free throws really good, that the opposite teams could afford to foul us, right, and they would still have that in favor, right? But nowadays, when Julius is getting more calls, we're going to get to the bonus earlier when we'll when we are going to make the free throws. We're going to be able to probably pull out a couple of more wins. Too bad it's that late in the season that we're trying to utilize it a little bit better.
Yeah. Last 15 games, Julius Randle's averaging 8.3 free throw attempts a game, and he's making 6.5. I'm not sure exactly where that ranks amongst NBA players, but he's shooting 8.3 attempts a game. RJ Barrett is shooting 8.1 attempts per game, and he's shooting at 74.2%. Right, but for the season, Julius Randle is at 5.5 attempts per game for the season. Right, so you can see over the last 15 games or so, and maybe even more, he's shooting, about 3 attempts more per game. Which is actually pretty good.
Yeah, and Sim, I bet you that also Mitch's aggressiveness on the offensive board is helping with that, because he's also getting foul calls on those offensive rebounds. So, it's going to be like 2-3 fouls a game, but that's going to help you to get to the bonus really sooner. And then every foul, you're going to the line. Yeah. So
as a matter of fact,
that's what's helping,
Yeah, over the last 15 games, Julius Randle is 8th in the league in free throw attempts. So Joel Embiid is number 1 at 13.7. Giannis Antetokounmpo is 13.6 at number 2. Luka is at 10. Ja Morant, 9.4. SGA 9.1, Jimmy Butler 9.1, DeMar DeRozan 8.4, and Julius Randle 8.3. James Harden 8.2 and RJ Barrett 8.1. So the Knicks have 2 top 10 players in free throw attempts per game.
Only us and Philly.
Yes, yeah, right. So they just got to make those free throws. You know what I mean? Pick up their percentage. So they're doing a good job. Those 2 guys are doing a good job getting to the free throw line. And, I'm just noticing that Julius Randle is utilizing that side-to-side swipe a lot. And it's helping him to get to the line more. You know what I mean? Which is good when you talk about the evolution of his basketball game and being able to score. He'll be able to get his points without having to work as hard. And I think that's definitely a key for Julius Randle. Let me get to a super chat. A couple of comments in the chat about free throw shooting that I want to read as well. Johnny P, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. He said the Knicks need a reliable and respectable point guard to handle and distribute the rock. Got to get the rock out of Julius's hands. We agree with you 100%. You know what I mean? Can't have it in his hands all the time. He's going to facilitate some, but it's got to be in, stints. It doesn't have to be the entire game. It's got to be in shorter stints, in my opinion, which it has been in some shorter stints because you see Alec Burks has the ball in his hands, but Alec Burks isn't a natural point guard. You need a natural point guard and floor leader out there, to really make it happen and make it work. Some people commented about Julius Randle. Let me see. Johnny Davis said Randle playing for superstar handshake at the end of the game. J.R.U. or J.Rue the Damager, maybe, I don't know, said, yes, Randle was getting respect as an all-star player. If you notice that Randle was learning how to get out of those double teams and drawing the foul. He's doing better. He's doing better. I still think there are times when he holds the ball too long, but he's doing better. You know what I mean? Towards the end of the game, that turnover, he held the ball too long. Held the ball too long. But anyway, I want to hear Tom Thibodeau, hear his take on today's game. I keep saying tonight on today's game. And then, we'll hopefully take some more phone calls, read some more super chats or people in the chat, whatever it is. But let's listen to Tom Thibodeau, folks.
Well, there's 3 options. At most plays, there's 3 options. So you don't know if they're taking, what they're trying to take away. So if they take out one area, there's another area that's open. So I thought he was pretty clean when he came off.
I mean, ideally, would you not want it, though, to go into the corner in a situation like that?
No, actually, that's where you do want it to go.
Just great play by Bruce Brown to tip it.
Yeah, it's there's, like I said, there's 3 options, and the guy who's inbounding the ball, you got about a second to make your decision because they're going to actively guard the ball. So you have to understand that, and then you got to make your read. You got to have your reads in order. So there's a high outlet, there's a middle outlet, and there's a corner outlet.
When Barrett goes to the foul line with 2.6 seconds left, and you guys don't have timeouts, I mean, why not try to miss that second one?
If I told you, you wouldn't believe. But sometimes that happens. You try to miss, and we went in. Yeah. It's sometimes it works out like that.
You guys looked like you were sending 2 at Kevin late in the fourth, and Jericho was often up there.
Yeah.
What did you like about that?
Well, Kevin is, what can you say? I mean, his career speaks for itself. He's, he gets rolling like that. You basically trying to play him with your whole team, and you got to try to make him work for his points. And he took 37 shots, but to his credit, it's like we were able to get the ball out of his hands initially, and then at the end it was he chased it around, and then you got to be ready to do it again. And so the second time we weren't as effective, and that's his experience, and that's what makes him who he is. So, but like, hey, look, we had a lot of things going against us. I was proud of the way we fought, and it came down to basically one possession.
Sometimes the games are dwindling here. How tough is it to have so many of these games where you just can't get over the hump at the end?
Well, I just want us to keep improving, so I think the wins will come if we're doing the right things and we keep getting better. We're playing a lot of young guys, so you're going to have, some mistakes along the way. That's all part of learning. And as long as we're playing hard and we're playing unselfishly, this trip was, it was good for us in many ways because when you're playing against quality teams, it makes you play better. And then it also shows you the things that we have to improve upon. So, and that's where I want the focus to lie. Just keep getting better, keep coming in, give everything you have to the team. We're very short-handed, so our margin of error is small, but the byproduct of guys being out is other guys getting an opportunity.
If Evan has that pass, it seemed like Mitch was open on the roll on that
Yeah,
pass at a time.
yeah, because and sometimes you have to read, like, what are they doing? Are they switching everything? And then, you have to screen your own man. You have to read. There's a lot of decisions that are being made, and it's quick. So I thought Evan played a very good all-around game. And unfortunately, we didn't make the play there at the end. So, but he did a lot of great things in the game.
You touched on a little bit with Durant, how great he is. You guys had him for about 4 minutes where he couldn't even get him a shot, and then he just breaks free. Is it just, did RJ lose track of him, or what happened on that play?
Again, like a lot of it was the secondary stuff, and that's so we get the ball out of his hands, and then he's not going to stop moving, and then initially you're trying to deny the ball back, but it doesn't stop there, and then when it gets swung to the weak side, then he was chasing it down, and we had pretty good pursuit, but the guy who was playing the guy that the ball was being swung to has got to recognize, okay, he's chasing that down. I got to be ready to blitz again. You can't be back because now he comes off on a handback, and he got a clean look at the basket. And a guy like that, his release is so high, and he's got great touch, and he can put it on the floor, and he can pass. He's got it all. So, and he probably gets a little more rope from the officials than most. I'll leave it at that.
I want to follow up here. On the initial trap to him, when Jericho was involved, what do you think of his execution?
Yeah, I thought Jericho gave us great energy, and he's big. He's a hard guy to throw over. So I think that was good for us. And he's got a lot of energy, so he can get out there, trap, then get back to the basket, and give us protection at the rim. So all that was good. And then, on offense, he's a work in progress. He's got to help us execute, so he's got to understand what we're trying to get done.
What was behind the decision to put RJ on Durant?
Julius is foul trouble. Julius, I like his size on him. There's probably and it's a different look, and it's so. And then I thought the other thing is we could use Julius to go double team, and it's a bigger guy coming to double, So, and you're taking maybe Julius out of harm's way. I thought had he gotten his next foul, it would have. He ended up not playing the last 3 minutes of the second quarter, and then if he gets an early fourth one, now you're, it hurts you there.
All right, that's good.
Yep. Thanks, you guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Tom Thibodeau. Andy, anything in there anything you heard? First of all, I'll say this. He talked about, the corner being where you want to get the ball. I disagree with him. Not in that situation. Not where you were passing from. Off the inbounds. I just disagree. Unless you're getting the ball to a wide open shot, yeah. And like B-Baller for real said, Evan Fournier, hit a couple of shots or at least one from the corner, right? A big shot in the fourth quarter, I think, from the corner. But on that type of play, I just don't think that's where you go at that point in the game. I just don't agree with it right there. You know what I mean?
Yes, and listen, one thing we didn't hear from Tibbs the whole season, that he didn't, take the blame on himself. I never heard that thing like, listen, I drew up the play. We had 3 options. They closed the 2, and the third one was still a bad one because we lost the ball. We weren't able to score in that possession. So that's on me. I would love for Tibbs to do that, and I think fans would appreciate, him taking the blame. And I'm not saying only about this game. There were games that,
Right.
you could have taken just one for the team, right? And I think the players would also appreciate one as far as Tibbs goes.
I agree. And sometimes you got to do that, man. Just take one. Like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? It was a bad play. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Instead
just save him, spare him from the Knicks media and stuff like that. So
Yep. And yeah, you got to do that sometimes, man. Because I think it was a bad play. Let's hear from RJ Barrett, and then when we come back, I want to hear what you thought about this particular road trip. The Knicks were on a 7-game road trip. They went 3-4 on the road trip.
Yeah.
Right. I want to know what you think about it. It's RJ Barrett, ladies and gentlemen.
Second. For today.
I mean, he's one of the best to ever do it. So it's tough when, he gets hot like that. Although, we did hold our own. It was a close game. We had opportunities. We had chances. But especially that shot he hit with like a minute left. It was a big shot. But I thought we fought. I thought we gave it our all and played some really good basketball tonight.
Tom said the plan was to try to miss that free throw.
Yeah.
Were you trying to front rim it, back rim it?
My teammates are laughing at me because it was like I was trying to miss it, and it ended up being like a perfect free throw. So I was like, I don't know, but yeah, I tried to miss it.
Were you trying to hit the front rim or the back rim?
Yeah, I tried to like just shoot it quick so like it would hit front rim and then Mitch could try to grab it, but it went in. So I don't know.
That play was kind of weird because it looked like they were going to give you the shot almost.
Yeah, I was gonna shoot it, and then it was weird because he was guarding me, and then like I was just like gonna take a step back or something, and then he kind of like stopped and like went behind me, so I was like, it was weird, and then he fouled me, so I don't know.
You guys ended up 3-4 on this trip, but you played well against good teams. How frustrating is that as you guys need wins with games running out?
Yeah, man. Things happen sometimes. We've been playing amazing basketball since the All-Star break, and then a couple have slipped away. Like I always go back to that Phoenix game. Still feel like definitely should have had that one, and just all you can do is play good basketball and try to close out these games. At the end in the fourth, but that's what we're gonna try to continue to do every day.
5 games out of the final playing spot and 14 to go. How do you look at your guys' chances right now?
You just try to keep racking up wins is all you try to do. You never know. Other teams also could go on losing streaks too, so you don't know what's happening. Might start sneaking games with you never know if people try to rest their stars or whatever. So anything can happen, man. It's the NBA.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the New York Knicks YouTube page. Make sure you subscribe for more Knicks videos and things that are like. All right, Andy. So it sounds like, he answered a little bit about what happened on that one play. Right? He said, it just, became a little bit of a weird play. Which can happen. I think a lot of times that happens when you're not decisive, right? You got to make up your mind. Like, I am going to shoot this ball. I'm coming down and I'm shooting a 3. You just got to be decisive, and then when you're not decisive, things can get a little funky, get a little bit weird when they become indecisive. I don't know. Any thoughts on what he said about that particular play?
Yes, listen, I'm not expecting RG to take the blame, but I was expecting him to take that 3-point shot. I'm going to say it that way. Listen, and I understand that he's a young player, like everybody said, but listen, I remember Fizdale times when we were having these questionable kind of plays from out of timeouts.
Mm-hmm.
and they were like mind-boggling, and they were like, listen, they got assistant coaches, they got to remind those guys that we are looking a certain play for this certain, out of timeout, or play or situation, right? So you got to know that we're in a bonus, we got to take a foul, or we can't foul because they're in the bonus, or we need a 3-point play and stuff like that. So we were basically thinking that the assistant coaches are reminding these guys. The last thing, Tibbs finishes this speech, and the assistant coaches just tell them, remember, we need a 3, or whatever, right? So I'm thinking that this wasn't the case, because they were thinking that the RJ's basketball IQ is at least on that level that you don't have to repeat these kind of things, right? And in this situation, Sim, there wasn't any other option. You needed a 3-pointer, and I'm not saying a 3-pointer with a foul, just a 3-pointer just to make it even. So for me, it's a blunder, definitely on RJ. But like I say, listen, he's young. If this game is gonna cost us the play-ins, we're probably gonna be back here. but yeah, I think this season that's not gonna be the case, and you gotta learn from your mistakes.
Right. So looking at the road trip that the Knicks were just on, right? It began in Philly, and it just ended in Brooklyn, right? They lost to Philly 125-109. As a matter of fact, I think they had a 15 or 16-point lead at halftime of that game, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. They lost to Philly 123-108, and they had a 15 or 16-point lead at halftime. They had a nice cushion there. They lost to Phoenix. They had a nice lead in Phoenix. They end up
lost
losing
on a buzzer
at
beater.
the buzzer. Yeah. Right? Lost on a buzzer beater. Then they beat the Los Angeles Clippers 116-93. They beat the Kings 131-115. They beat the Dallas Mavericks 107-77. Right? And then they have I don't know, what was it, a 14-point lead against the Memphis Grizzlies?
Yeah.
They lose
17 even. Yeah.
Even 17 even. They lose 118-114. Close game against the Nets. I think their biggest lead against the Nets was probably 5. Right? The Nets at one point had a 12-point lead. The Knicks, their biggest lead was 5. But they did have a lead, and they had a lead in the fourth quarter. Small lead. So it's not like it's something that you say, oh, man, they should have put this away because they had a lead. You know what I mean? But they had a small lead in the fourth quarter, right? The Knicks led at one point 103-101 in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes and 52 seconds left. That's not a lead that you say, hey, you're supposed to put that away. But still, they had a lead with a chance to win this basketball game. What do you take from this 7-game road trip?
Well, I think it was a respectable road trip. The 3 and 4 with the Knicks that we saw this whole season, I think it's above the expectations of Knicks fans. Mm-hmm. We won with the Mavs. We know that we basically won at Dallas last 5 or 6 years, right? But the Mavs are still a better team this year than the Knicks. Plenty of these teams are better than the Knicks, right? And I think it's really good for the team just to see that if they buy in fully and the game goes probably the way that the coach wants, that they are in these games with leads, that it's not like Tibbs says something, do ABC, and they're doing ABC and it's minus 20. Right. They were in games, they had leads, so they know that the thing that Tibbs wants from them is actually going to work. Am I a huge supporter and fan of Tibbs' offense and game plan? Not so much, but if it gets them leads, it's not everything on Tibbs, right? Maybe the late game adjustments, stuff like that, but still, it's not like a blowout from the first quarter like earlier in the season. So I think the Knicks play overall is way better after the All-Star game. Too bad it's kind of late now.
It's kind of late. That's what really hurts. it's kind of late, you know.
But still, Sim, it's still better now than just lose it out
Right.
and then just try to go in with the same roster, same coaching staff to the preseason and expect something different back then, right? We, at least we're going to have a summer when we can go back to these games and say, listen, we were up, by 17, 15 points versus, best teams in the NBA, basically, because Philly and Phoenix, those are top teams from the league.
Teams. Yeah.
So, and, of course, some guys, you're going to say that, Phoenix didn't have CP3 or Booker, right? But you can say it that the Knicks never was healthy, maybe not never, but throughout the whole season, there was always one guy missing or one guy not playing and stuff like that. So I'm kind of happy that we finally are figuring out, or at least we see what these guys can bring to the table. So you know what you're going to do in the offseason as far as assessing their talent and usefulness for building the team for the next season.
Yeah. And people can talk about the Phoenix Suns not having Booker and Chris Paul, and obviously it means something, but even without them, we went there and played them, and I think they had won two straight games even without those two guys, right?
The Mavs were on a 5-game winning streak when they, played the Knicks.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't like they were playing bad basketball and we just caught an off night or something like that. So.
Exactly. So, obviously they're better with Chris Paul and Devin Booker, but they were still playing good basketball even when they went out. But when you look at this 7-game road trip, man, the Knicks, the 76ers, what are they in the Eastern Conference? What are they right now?
I think they were first when they were playing the Knicks.
They might have been first when they were playing the Knicks, but currently they're third in the Eastern Conference. They may have been first when they played the Knicks. The Phoenix Suns, number 1 in the Western Conference. We know CP3 and Devin Booker was out for that game. The Los Angeles Clippers, they're number 8 in the Western Conference, 35 and 34. A team that's going to most definitely be in the play-in and will probably get into a playoff spot. The Sacramento Kings, obviously, they're not a good basketball team. But then the Memphis Grizzlies, they're number 2 in the Western Conference, right? And the Knicks lost to them, but they had a chance. They had every chance to win that basketball game. Terrible fourth quarter by the Knicks. Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett both went 1 for 5 in the fourth quarter. The Knicks shot terribly in that fourth quarter, but they could have won that basketball game. The Brooklyn Nets, right? Of course, they're in the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference right now, but you got KD back. They're much better than the 8th seed team. They've won 3 in a row, and one of those wins includes a 29-point victory over the Philadelphia 76ers. The Knicks have played well during this stretch, just as they haven't always come out on top. If they pull out that Phoenix game and win that Phoenix game, all of a sudden they're 4-3 on this road trip. I got to agree with you. They played well on this road trip. They played well on the road trip, and they were playing well even, before the road trip. When the first game versus Philadelphia, when they had that home and home, I think they were in the fourth quarter. It was like a 3-point game or something like that. They had a chance to win that. They end up losing by 16, right? Same thing with Miami, right? They were right in the game with Miami. They had a 28-point lead over the Brooklyn Nets. I forgot what happened with OKC. Did they have a lead? They had a lead in OKC in that game, right?
Yeah.
Right? They had a lead in OKC. Should have been able to win that. They had a 20-something point lead versus the Portland Trailblazers. They beat the Golden State Warriors. Going back, they just got smacked by the Denver Nuggets. They had a big lead versus the Utah Jazz. I think they had a 12-point lead twice. So not a big lead, but twice they had a 12-point lead versus the Utah Jazz. And they had a 20-something point lead over the Los Angeles Lakers. Right? So, yeah, they had definitely been playing well. They're just not getting the wins. Not closing the games out, not getting the wins. But, this road trip, if it was any other time during the season, it would have been considered, not during the season. If the Knicks say they had a 500 record, right?
Yeah.
It would have been considered a successful road trip for the Knicks. But given where they are and they need more, It's I'm not gonna say it's not successful, but it's tough. You know what I mean? And it starts to crush their hopes of getting into that play-in spot. The Knicks are now 28-40, 5 games out of that play-in position. The Atlanta Hawks, they're 32-34.
Yeah, we might be doing a magic number. What's the magic number for the Knicks in the week? Sim?
Right. Right. My guess is that you're probably going to have to be about 500 to get into that play-in. That's what I think. And in order for the Knicks to get to 500, they got one more loss. They got one more loss, and they'll have 41 losses. Right? And, so, you look at that and, you doubt that the Knicks are going to go, I don't know, what would it be, 13-1 down the rest of the season?
Yeah.
You doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, but we got a couple of easier games up the schedule now. So
Yeah. Looking at the schedule coming up, the Knicks play the Portland Trailblazers,
Wizards, Jazz,
the Jazz, which is a team that
then we got a back-to-back really important games: the Hawks and the Hornets.
Yeah.
So if we
really
could pull out those two, and then we got also the Hornets in a week from that. Listen, mathematically, there's still chances.
Mathematically, there's chances, right? But in order for the Knicks to climb, they've got to listen. The Wizards is an important game. They got to beat the Trailblazers.
Yeah.
They got to beat the Wizards, right? Because the Wizards right now are 2 games above the Knicks. So if they beat the Wizards, who knows what happens during that time? They could even it up with the Wizards if they beat the Wizards. Who knows? The Wizards could lose a couple of games or whatever between now and then, or one game or whatever between now and then. So that's going to be an important game, right? And then, again, they're 5 games below the Atlanta Hawks. So if they beat the Hawks, they gain a game on them. They beat the Hornets, they're 5 games behind the Hornets. They beat the Hornets, they gain a game on them. I think they play the Hornets one more time this season, right? And if they beat them there, they gain another game on them.
Yeah, and we played the Wizards twice. After the Portland game, we played them once, and then in April 8th or something like that.
Right. So these are teams that you can gain games on them. If you beat them, you need them to lose
full games, right?
Right, full games, right? So you need them to lose other games, though.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think they have easier schedules. All of those 3 teams have easier schedules than the Knicks coming up, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But hey, this is where we are with the season, ladies and gentlemen. The Knicks played a good game. Just wasn't able to pull it out, man. Wasn't able to pull it out. Good basketball game. It was a fun one to watch, but they couldn't pull it out. That's the way it's been the entire season, folks. The entire season. Trust me, we'll be getting into our draft coverage, NBA draft coverage, very soon.
Just after the magic number episode.
Right, exactly. We'll be getting into that NBA draft coverage. But Andy, any last words before we get out of here?
Sim, once again, I'm encouraging the subscribers to join us on the watch along shows. It's awesome there, funny. We try to analyze the game on live. Always someone can have stuff to add. So we're happy about that. And what more, Sim?
Yeah,
let's hope for at least close games, so we're not going to be really, really mad and pessimistically approaching the Knicks content and team.
Right, exactly. Right. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please join us on those watch alongs. If you're an MBK member, join us. They're fun. You don't have to worry about any lag because we're all looking at the game at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we're able to watch it in real time together and talk about the game. We talk about other things. It's just like a group of friends just sitting around having a good time, man. So join us. If you're a member, join us. The next one is going to be March 27th at 3:30. The Knicks take on the Pistons, and we'll be on then doing another watch along. So make sure you join us in the watch along. Pay attention to that community tab. That's where you'll get the link. And if you don't want to join in the screen with us, you can just listen in and type in the chat and talk in the little private chat that we got going on, and it's fun. It's good. It's enjoyable. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your time. Knicks lose a tough one to the Brooklyn Nets, 110-107, behind 53 points from KD. 53 points. Anyway, out, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When send past the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.